Have you ever wondered what happens after death? What if everything you were taught about heaven, hell, and the soul was a lie? In today's video, you'll learn the shocking story of Christopher Lane, an electrician from the United States who died after a work accident, watched his own wake, crossed a portal between worlds, and returned with a revelation that could change your view of life and eternity. Get ready for one of the most shocking near-death experiences ever told, with details that will shake your deepest beliefs. Like it now, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next real NDE stories, and comment below which city you are watching this video from. Let's uncover together what lies beyond the veil of reality. My name is Christopher Lane. I am 46 years old and live in Flagstaff, Arizona. The day I died started out like any other: breakfast with my wife, a quick kiss to the kids before school, and the sound of the truck engine as I headed to work. I never imagined that that would be the last time I would see my home alive. I work in rural electrical maintenance. That day was especially hot, dry, and the air felt heavy. I was climbing a pole to repair a power line damaged by a sandstorm when I felt a strange vibration. Within seconds, everything exploded. An electric shock went through my body as if I had been struck by a bolt of thunder straight from the hand of God. I remember screaming, but no one heard me. My vision went black as if someone had turned off a TV. I felt no pain, just silence. Absolute silence, until I realized something that chilled my soul. I was floating above my own body, hanging, charred, motionless. And then the phrase came to me, "But am I dead?" The shock was not the death itself, but the fact that I was still there, thinking, feeling, watching. It was at that moment that I understood what no one ever said. Consciousness does not end when the heart stops. It expands. And everything I thought I knew about what came next was a lie. Floating above my body was terrifying enough, but what happened next has no logical explanation. And that's why I'm here telling you about it now. The moment after my death, I was sucked into a place without time. I didn't walk, I didn't fly, I didn't dream. I just was there, as if I had passed through an invisible veil. The physical world disappeared like smoke, and everything around me was a black space, endless, without floor, without ceiling. But there was something in that darkness, something vivo. I heard voices. Hundreds, maybe thousands. They came from all sides, as if echoing inside me. They weren't scary. They were quiet, knowing whispers, as if they were people trapped there, waiting for something that never arrived. It was like being in an auditorium of silent souls. "Did you just die too?" a voice asked inside me, soundless, mouthless. But I knew it was me. I tried to answer. I thought, "Yes, I think so." And she continued, "They didn't tell the truth, did they? It's not like they said in the churches." At that moment, I realized I was in a place between worlds, neither heaven nor hell, just truth. And the truth is that we were deceived. I saw images of my childhood like a fast-paced movie, not just my actions, but the feelings they caused in others. It was as if I were watching with the heart. And I felt everything I caused. Everything. The worst part was seeing the times I was indifferent, or cynical, or cruel, even without meaning to. No excuses were valid there. No, I didn't mean too stuck. That place showed not who I thought I was, but who I really was. And there, in that void full of consciousness, I realized that hell was not fire. It was knowing the truth about yourself. I still had no idea what was coming, but I already understood that what we call life after death is much more complex, brutal, and beautiful than any religion dares to admit. I was still immersed in that living void, where voices intertwined like thoughts that were not mine, but that I understood with impossible clarity. Then, everything changed. Without warning, the space around me began to open like a crack in the darkness. It wasn't light I saw. It was a kind of clarity that seemed alive, vibrant, as if breathing. That wasn't just light. It was pure consciousness, as if the universe itself was looking back at me. At that moment, I realized that two wasn't alone there. A presence. A consciousness enormous, infinite. It was not a man. It was not a figure with a beard, nor with wings, nor thrones or trumpets. It was something that knew me completely. Every mistake, every thought, every moment of cowardice that I hid, even from myself, that knew. And yet, there was no judgment. Had expectation. As if it was waiting for my reaction to what I was about to see. In front of me, something appeared that reminded me of a gigantic portal, made of a substance I couldn't describe. It rotated slowly like gears of time, and in its center was a floating image me inside a coffin. My wife was crying over my body. My two children were huddled in the corner, completely devastated. The pastor was saying beautiful words that sounded empty. The air was thick with grief. But I was still there. I heard them. I felt their grief. I screamed inside. I wanted to say, I'm here. I'm alive. Just not in this body. But nobody listened to me. At that moment, I understood with indescribable pain that death is not the end. It's just an inverted mirror. And worse, everything we believe about her is a theater set up to comfort us. They lied. They lied about everything. Beside the portal, a figure formed. Faceless, made of liquid light. It didn't speak, but it transmitted something directly to my soul. You are too close to the truth. If you go in, you will never come back. My desire was to cross, discover everything, see what really there was beyond life. But at that very moment, a force pulled me back. A force more intense than any will I had. I wasn't prepared. It wasn't my time yet. The force pulling me back was gentle, but irresistible. As if invisible hands were grabbing me by the chest, dragging me in the opposite direction of the portal of truth. And as I was pulled along, I heard, not with my ears, but straight in my soul, a desperate scream coming from inside the portal. It wasn't a cry of pain. It was a cry of alert. Don't believe them. Life goes on, but not as they told you. At that moment, I saw something that froze me with fear and fascination. Thousands of souls close to the portal. Some floated still, resigned in silence. Others screamed, cried, begged to cross. Still others, the most restless, fought against this same force that was pulling me back. It was as if there was a division between those who accepted the return to life and those who could no longer accept oblivion. And that's when one of them looked straight at me. His face was not defined, but there was pain in his eyes. Pain and lucidity. If you go back, then you will forget everything. They will make you forget. That sentence went through me like a spear. I didn't want to forget. I needed to remember. But the force continued. And the more I resisted, the more something held me, like invisible hooks entering my essence. It was then that I understood. The souls struggling to cross the portal were trying to escape the cycle. Yes, the cycle. The illusion, wake up, work, pay bills, die. Living as if everything were random, as if this world were the only one. But there, in that space between worlds, the farce was blatant. They lied about heaven, they lied about hell, they lied about what comes next. They even lied about time. Nothing here works like it does there. The rules of earthly life are a cosmic farce. And the souls who discovered this were silenced, or brought back with their memories erased. Despair took hold of me. What if I forget everything? What if I go back and live as if none of this ever happened? I screamed inside myself. Don't let them make me forget. Please. I need to tell. I need to tell. It was my last thought before I felt a snap, as if a button had been pressed and everything went white. That white was not empty. It was a blinding, dense light that did not warm. It pressed. I felt like I was being compressed, as if my entire being, not my body but my consciousness, was being squeezed to fit again, into something small, fragile, human. my body. Coming back was horrible. I mean that in no uncertain terms. Coming back hurts more than dying. The spiritual world is free. There is no weight, no gravity, no limit. But the body is a prison, and I was being pushed back into the cell. I woke up with a violent fright. It wasn't like in the movies with calm breathing, it was Ashok. I opened my eyes and everything was blurry. The white ceiling, the hum of machines, tubes stuck down my throat, into my arms, the catheter, the weakness. I had come back. But something was wrong. It was like I was an erased version of myself. I remembered what I had seen, but the images were already beginning to dissipate like smoke. I tried to scream. I tried to speak of the darkness, of the voices, of the portal, of the souls. But only air came out. The pain cut me inside, not physical, spiritual. The pain of knowing that I had touched infinity, and now he was trapped again in a body with an expiration date. The first people I saw were doctors, then nurses. They were smiling, relieved. One of them even said, "Christopher, you're back. We thought we couldn't bring you back." And I just thought, but I didn't ask to come back. I was seeing the truth. Why did they pull me back? As the days went by, I gained the strength to speak out, but no one wanted to hear about it. Doctors called it sedation hallucination. Nurses looked at me with pity when I spoke of the living light and the souls in limbo. But I know. I died, saw, and most importantly, I came back remembering. They lied about the afterlife, and now that I know, I can't live the same way anymore. The days that followed my awakening were the loneliest of my life, even when I was surrounded by people. My wife would visit me with red eyes from crying. The doctors would smile as if they had won a war. My children would send me drawings of hearts and "Welcome back, Daddy" written in shaky letters. But everything inside me screamed, "You have no idea what I saw." And that's when I realized nobody cares. Most people couldn't handle the truth. It's easier to believe the edited, comfortable versions that fit into Sunday sermons or self-help books. The truth is uncomfortable, and the truth is this: we live in a theater. We are taught since childhood that the afterlife is either heaven or hell, that being good takes you to one place, and being bad takes you to another. That God is an old bearded man judging our mistakes with a scale. But what I saw was different, very different. Life goes on, but not as punishment or reward. She continues as wake up. And the biggest shock is realizing that you spent your whole life sleeping. That place where I was an in-between place, a limbo of consciousness, a filter. There I saw people who they didn't know they were dead. I saw souls that refused to return, that resisted the forces that push us back into the body, and they all said, in different ways, they lied to us. They lied to maintain control. They lied because the truth is liberating, and those who awaken no longer obey the rules. When you see that the soul survives, that thoughts continue, that love hurts even after the heart stops. When you see that your consciousness remains alive even when you see your own body being buried, you understand that reality is much greater, much more terrible, and infinitely more beautiful. That's why they don't talk. Because if we knew, if everyone knew, the world would collapse. In that hospital bed, intubated, fragile, I was awake. But everyone around me was asleep. As the days passed and my body slowly recovered, something began to disturb me more than the physical pain, more than the anguish of having been between life and death, the feeling that I was forgetting. It wasn't like forgetting any dream. It was like someone were deliberately erasing memories from inside my head. Images of the living darkness, the voices, the portal, began to blur together. And that scared me more than death. I fought with all my strength to keep the memory alive. I started writing even though my hand was shaking. I asked for paper and a pen to write everything down before it disappeared. But when I reread what I had written, I noticed mistakes. points that I was sure had happened but now seemed vague. It was like trying to hold water with your hands. It was then that a nurse with a serene and mysterious look approached me one morning and said something that chilled me to the core. There are people who come back and don't remember. You came back remembering, don't lose that. I stared at her, trying to understand if it was just empathy, or if you knew. She just smiled, a smile that hid centuries of silence. From that day on, I started to feel that something followed me. It wasn't a ghost. It was like parts of me had stayed there in the in-between place, as if my soul had not returned completely. At night, I saw flashes of the other reality, faceless people, fields of pulsating light, structures that defied logic. I woke up breathless, with a single thought: the truth is still within me. And then it hit me. There is an invisible code, a kind of password that experience gave me. It's not a magic phrase, it's an awareness, an awakening, something that vibrates in the heart, like a dull drum, something that says, you are not your body, you are not your name, you are eternal. And now you know. The world is not ready for this. But I am. And maybe you who are listening to this now are too. After all, who said you're still alive? What if all this here is already the aftermath? After what I had experienced, nothing made sense anymore. Or maybe it did make sense too much. I started to observe people as if they were characters in a game that they had forgotten they were playing. Everyone was running, suffering, offending each other, killing each other, as if this were all there was. But I knew, I saw. And the scariest thing? They know too. They just forgot. I started having vivid dreams. But they weren't dreams. They were returns. At night, my soul seemed to escape again, even if only for a few seconds. I returned to that gray zone where souls wander in silence. And some recognized me. One of them, a woman with a broken face, looked at me and said, "You came back. You managed to remember. So speak up. Tell them." And it was gone, like smoke, in a mirror. I woke up panting, sweating, and a phrase echoed inside my chest like a mantra shouted silently. Life as we know it is the great sleep. Death is the awakening. Everything is reversed. We think that being here means being awake, but it's not. Here we are anesthetized. Sleeping with our eyes open. Living routines, dramas, wars, and passions within an artificial reality created to keep the soul under control. And when we die, the mind wakes up. She lets go. She remembers. That's why they try to erase the memories of those who return. That's why most people don't remember NDEs clearly. Because if we remembered en masse, everything would collapse. Religions would lose their monopoly on faith. Governments would lose their monopoly on fear. And the system would lose control of your soul. Do you understand now? The lie about life after death is the lie that sustains all the others. And I can't live in silence anymore, because forgetting would be dying again. And I only die once. Even after returning, even with my body weakened and my routine slowly returning, one thing never left me: my voice. It wasn't a thought of mine. It wasn't madness. It was something that came from outside and inside at the same time. Always the same phrase, always the same tone, always in the same ear. They are still sleeping. Wake them up. That voice wasn't soft. It was firm, almost stern, but not out of cruelty, out of urgency. She accompanied me to the hospital on the first walks after discharge, in the silences between one exam and another. And each time she spoke, I remembered more clearly what was trying to be erased from me. I saw my lifeless body. I saw my family burying something that was still alive on another plane. I saw the theater they call reality. And I also saw the brutal beauty of truth. The Qi voice didn't want me to believe, it wanted me to canoe. And that's when I understood that voice was mine. Or rather, it was the part of me that remained awake while the rest returned. Yes, it is possible that part of our consciousness remains there, and perhaps it sends us echoes, signs, intuitions, omens, déjà vu. Maybe this is what we call the inner voice. Maybe it's not always ours. Maybe it is the part of us that never slept again. When I told this to a close friend, he said to me, "You're obsessed with this NDE thing. Maybe you need to let it go and move on." It was at that moment that I realized that the biggest prison was not the body. It was silence. They want us to keep quiet. They want us to doubt. They want us to label everything as delirium or a dream. But you only need to go through a real NDE to understand. Death is the beginning of truth. Life, a stage of masks, and my mask fell. I came back marked. I came back remembering. And if you're hearing this now, maybe it's no coincidence. If you asked me today what was the most important moment in my life, I wouldn't say the birth of my children, nor my wedding, nor the day I survived the electric shock. I would say the moment I died and discovered the truth. Nothing we experience here prepares us for what lies on the other side. And it's not because it's scary, it's because it's real. Too real. Real in a way that this world seems like a cheap illusion when you come back. There is no judgment. There are no angels with trumpets or devils with tridents. What exists is the total consciousness, you in front of yourself. And that hurts. You feel the words that hurt. You watch the effect of your choices on others. In a chain reaction, you see the beauty you ignored. And the worst part, you realize how much time you wasted living in your sleep. But there is something even more devastating. You discover that you have been lied to. They lied when they said that heaven is a distant place. They lied when they convinced you that you are a body with a soul, when, in fact, you are a soul temporarily using a body. They lied when they said that after death comes the end. The end, in fact, is here. The beginning is there. And when you come back marked. You come back with different eyes, with his soul cracked by the light of what he saw. And even if they try to silence you, even if they label you, mock you, ignore you, you know. And knowledge is a curse and a blessing. Today, when I walk down the street, I look at people and ask myself, how many of them have died and been forgotten? How many have returned and gone silent? If you're hearing this, it may not be by chance. Maybe something inside you already knows. And if you know, don't ignore it. Because when death comes, and it will come, it will not be the end. It will be the unmasking. And if you remember, even for a second, what you heard here, you will smile. Because you will know. Life goes on. But not as they told you. If you liked this beautiful spiritual testimony, leave a like, comment your impressions, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to activate the notification bell to watch each new video and help us spread this message to a greater number of people. Until next time.